John!
What?
Red 7!
I don't know what Red 7 means.
Hot route!
I don't. What is hot route?
Will you just go stand on the other side, please?
Down!
Come on.
Ready! Down! Set! Hut! 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 Hut!
Hit me! Booyah! That's what we call a sack lunch. Nom, 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 nom.
It's time for the Soonerscoop.com postgame show presented by Eskridge Lexus in Oklahoma City. Eskridge Lexus is the official travel partner of Soonerscoop.com podcasts. Now, here's your road crew, Carey, Eddie, and Bob, wrapping up all the action and reaction from this week's game.
All right, welcome everybody. Welcome back to another Eskridge Lexus postgame podcast, where it is another victory. The Sooners moved to 7-0, but we're not going to Lincoln Riley our way through this thing. Not everything is okay. They were not close. I mean, they regressed today, and I got to say, it was refreshing being in a postgame press conference where a coach admitted we did a lot of stuff that we should have lost that game today. And one of them was field goals. One of them was just, the unevenness of an offense that could not run the damn ball to save their lives until the fourth quarter. And we're going to talk about all of it. But we welcome in almost the entire crew. Bob's still at home working on his last story, but Eddie is several Coors Lights into the evening.
I can't decide if I want to burn this down or if I want to be okay.
I got to say, it was I was kind of shaking after that game. It was intense, and it was a lot of just stress.
Yeah.
Because
they were not good.
I was not stressed whatsoever.
That's because you were eating edibles in the press box.
Maybe I was.
No, it was
called
bad.
the struggles of being an owner of a business that relies on, teams not just sucking the life out of the fan base.
We also have a special guest today.
We do. Josh McQuistion is with us. I took for granted that we can see him, that everybody else doesn't know he's here. I'm sorry, Josh.
It's fine. I think everybody expected. I mean, I'm here to shit on everything. Josh hates OU. They played poorly, finally, and I'm ready to just tear OU apart.
By the way, there are a lot of people that are new to the pod or new in recent years to the pod. I was getting a lot of Doom Pod. The Doom Pod is what happens before the season. The Doom Pod, the drunken pod is what happens when the shit really hits the fan.
This is a realistic pod. This is what this is going to be.
Is that what it is?
I think it's a snap back to reality a little bit.
It is.
I still think you guys are overreacting.
I'm not overreacting. They played like shit today,
woman.
George.
I agree.
Little girl.
I 100% agree. They played like shit, but that's college football. Teams play like shit.
Let's get into it though. Well, first off, I want to say the fans today were fantastic. I mean, I got here about 8:20 this morning, and it was already getting packed on Campus Corner, and it just continued to get. I think there were so many people going past the doors. I was kind of getting ready for the game and getting my laptop set. Like, it was just shadow after shadow after shadow. Like, it was crazy down here today. The fans, they spent these last 2 weeks reveling in that win and getting more and more fired up. It even got the Kings of Leon here, which, one of the biggest shames of my life is going to be that I wasn't there at the stadium to see them get recognized and cheered. Apparently, I heard
turned the game around.
Yeah,
turned the game around.
I mean, and they should take credit for that.
100. I think Jared already did.
Jared is taking credit for it. I think he's probably asleep on the bus on the way home because I think he had a good time tonight. Anyway, no, I mean, it was a really great setup by the fans for this team to come back home and everyone to celebrate what they just done against Texas. Yet maybe they found out that there was a little too much celebrating on the players' part.
I mean, defensively early, I thought that they fed off that energy within the crowd. And
4 straight 3-and-outs to the number 4 offense in the country.
You had really good field position that Oklahoma offensively couldn't capitalize. It should have been
tragedy.
George. You said it after the game. It should have been 21-0.
Yeah,
maybe 10 minutes into the game,
and that's why I'm still just not overreacting to this bad performance. But yeah, they were terrible on offense most of the day. I mean, realistically, they weren't able to run the ball until the fourth quarter, which is crazy. Gavin Sawchuk had 63 yards on the ground. 59 of them came in the fourth quarter on obviously 30 on the one big touchdown run. But yeah, the offense was bad, especially it felt like they were trying to get too cute at the beginning. Like they had the direct snap to Sawchuk that he drops. Then if he catches that screen pass on the 3rd and 10, he might go. I mean, it was so wide open, but they just looked totally out of sync to start the game.
To me, this is kind of where I am, Josh. You have a team that had 2 weeks. We all look. I don't blame Danny Stutzman's T-shirt sales for this or anything, but
it's everything.
And when you hear that one of your best running backs was suspended, and we kind of heard the grumblings before. I think Eddie heard it before any of us did. And it sounds, in-house suspension is what Brent Venables termed it. Obviously, that's not good. I mean, we talked all last week about what a team of good guys this is, and now you have someone that's done something to be suspended, who was a key part of your offense, and you go out there and you don't play so well offensively. You can't establish the run. You're not physical on the offensive line. The offensive line was a problem for a large part of the day today, especially on that right side.
Yeah. Now, I do want to be clear that nothing we've heard is, Tawee Walker was suspended for being a bad guy. Like, I don't want that to be like, oh, he was out there doing something terrible. Like, it was something that happens during a football
suspended,
season.
Josh, I'm sorry, but it's not because you forgot to take an old lady across the street.
Sure. No, yeah. I just mean, like, it's not like
he wasn't doing anything illegal.
He didn't get arrested.
Yeah, it wasn't anything with the law. That's what Josh was saying.
No, but I'm sorry, but if you get suspended during a 12-game season, to me, it's a character issue. There's something about your character that allowed you to get suspended.
I wouldn't go that far.
Yeah, I am.
I don't think it's a character issue.
I think we all need to take a deep breath. I think we are jumping off a cliff here right now.
They did win.
Yes, they won.
Welcome to the official.
This is
Eskridge Lexus post.
The honeymoon's f***ing over, George. I would characterize it.
I do want an important note here. Is George the only one of us that is 100% and entirely sober?
No, I am, unfortunately.
Okay.
I'm sober.
I just wanted everybody to know where we were at.
I'm not drinking
Eddie
till
and
Christmas.
That's fine.
Yeah, George.
Stop saying that. We know that's
drinking.
never going to happen. All right.
I love it.
I would characterize
the
the Tawee situation as he had a disagreement with the coaching staff.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, that's a good way to put it.
But again, what player that's fully bought in gets in a disagreement
at the same time, I kind of like it.
Here's the other thing.
During a bye week, though,
we can talk about Tawee all we want. The walk-on JUCO running back shouldn't have that big of an effect on the damn game.
That's true.
Well, and it was I was on the Scoop account, and it was late in the fourth quarter, or not late. It was getting later. I think there was maybe 5 minutes left in the game. They were getting the ball back, down 26-17, I think. 23-17. And I just put up a poll. I said, who do you think should carry the load on this next drive? Should it be Gavin Sawchuk or Gavin Sawchuk? Like, it was pretty obvious to me that Gavin Sawchuk needed to get some carries, and he had done enough good things during the day. Like, I don't know why you're throwing a back shoulder throw to Marcus Major 20 yards down the field.
Jesus Christ.
Yeah.
It did hit him in the chest, though.
Yeah, but it almost got
should he have caught that?
That's asking a lot of Marcus
here's
Major.
Here's the thing, and I asked Jeff Lebby this just point blank after the game if they want a number one running back, because they keep doing this rotating thing, and he said, yes, they want somebody that can turn around and just hand the ball off to. It has to be Gavin Sawchuk moving forward. There's nothing like you have to just let.
If Javonte Barnes is not an option, I 100% there with you.
Sawchuk just got better as the game went on. He had 3 carries before going into the fourth quarter. Then he gets 7 carries, goes for 59 yards. Like he clearly
and what did he had before this game?
He had 18 carries for 45 yards going into this game.
Right.
He's got to give him the ball more.
Well, and even beyond that, like even if you want to, say, okay, I'm not sure, we can say we're pretty sure about Marcus Major and Tawee Walker. We've seen it. We know what those guys have, and they're not bad players. I'm not trying to shit on them or anything, but like Gavin Sawchuk, if you want to have a chance to have a difference maker at running back, he is the only guy we've seen this year that really can have that conversation.
And if you don't want to play him, you play the damn freshman. Like, we haven't even seen Hicks or Smothers. Like, give him a shot.
Well, but here's my biggest problem with the way that Sawchuk was used today. And it's a problem that we've seen with this offense. They try and get too cute. I mean, at least hand the ball off to Gavin Sawchuk. Let him get going. Don't direct snap it to him the second play of the game, trying to be too cute, and he doesn't handle it, and then all of a sudden his added, his confidence probably tanks, and then he gets pulled off the field. He doesn't go back for a while. Like, that was a terrible mismanagement of a young player.
The offensive play calling in the first quarter was very head scratching because they came out and did that with Sawchuk, and then if you guys remember the next possession, they didn't even have a running back in for any of the plays. They did the Farouk thing in the backfield, which sometimes works, sometimes doesn't. Like, it just felt like they were trying to do some different stuff, and it just wasn't working, and it cost them.
Today for me was the day that Farouk was just like, he didn't have a good day. Like, he almost broke a kickoff return, almost doesn't count though. And the times they try to use him, like you said, in the running game, nothing really popped out of it. I think he did have, one of the longer rush plays of the day, but still, it wasn't like you expect, Jalil Farouk to step up in the absence of Andrew Anthony, and he didn't do it today.
I'm not a call for jobs guy. I kind of hate that. It's just not my style. At the same time, I don't think there's any way you can feel like the running back room has been managed well this year. Like, and I know DeMarco Murray doesn't call that play. He doesn't put the direct snap in for Gavin Sawchuk. That's above his head. I totally understand it. But to put that kid in that situation, then immediately turn around and throw that screen to him, which he should have caught. Like, that's not on anybody but Gavin Sawchuk. At the same time, and then he just doesn't see guys. When was he on the field next? Like, he missed almost the rest of the first quarter, didn't he?
Yeah, he almost missed the rest of the first half.
Someone remind me, because I know I lost my mind when it happened, but what happened? Did they even run a play when Jackson Arnold came out
no,
on the field? They didn't.
UCF called the timeout, then they came back in and they handed it off to Marcus Major. And that's actually the play. I believe they picked it up.
Right, yeah.
It was the 3rd and 2 later in the game that they tried to run something similar and Major got stuffed.
Yeah, when George, you and I talked about this before we got started. When the what is it, Hester, number 2, Hunter,
yeah,
the kid goes across Caleb Schaefer's face, and I think that was the last time we saw Caleb Schaefer like that. Guys, Caleb Schaefer didn't have any business on that field. He's a nice kid. I love the interview this week. Seems like a great guy, and in a pinch, I get it, but that's not a guy you're going to win the things you expect to win playing with.
I thought I would never say this, but they desperately need McCade Matauer back.
Yeah.
And he was in on the PATs. Like, he can't be that far off.
What'd you say?
Is it not Matauer?
Matauer? It doesn't matter.
Am I the only one that reads the pronunciation guides?
Yes.
Yeah.
No, because I think it's Matauer too. Like, I think you're right, Carey, because I will
not stand for these constant. I mean, Eddie has made an art form out of it. I'm not going to allow it to affect George.
I am just a replica of Eddie.
Eddie is not an example for you, okay?
Come follow me.
According to Sooner Sports, it is Matauer.
Tawyer?
That's what I said, isn't it?
Matauer.
Matauer.
That's close. I would say George and Eddie were closer than we were, so I got to give them their credit on that.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Damn you, Carey.
I got to go see it with my own eyes now.
That's how. Did you see how quickly I changed allegiances there? I was totally into
Son of a
George and
bitch.
Eddie. I sold you out quickly.
Son of a bitch.
One area though that you mentioned it briefly, Carey, about Andrell, and I asked Dylan this after the game because I don't know if you guys noticed it. UCF was playing a lot of press coverage, doing a lot of man stuff. OU was not creating like any separation other than Nick Anderson a few times. They were not getting open down the field, and that's concerning. And I told Eddie this after the game. I don't think Brennan Thompson's healthy. Like, he didn't get a snap in the game today. He had a towel around his neck on the sideline. Didn't even have his helmet, I don't think.
Well,
and he's somebody that I think
we requested him last week too for interviews, and he never
got denied.
Actually, was told that he declined to be interviewed.
So I don't know, but he's somebody that I thought we might see today because he can stretch the field and open up some things. But the separation, like Farouk is a good player, but he's not a guy that is like just burning down the field, and I think we saw that today. I don't know. It just seems like a concerning thing going forward that, they don't have somebody that's just creating a ton of separation.
Here was the thing, Josh. I mean, UCF did not have a good run defense. They do have a good pass defense. So they essentially were forcing, they were playing a little bit of umbrella defense and telling Oklahoma, okay, you're going to beat us with the run because we're going to make sure you don't beat us with Dylan Gabriel's arm. And it had a big feeling like Iowa State or a Kansas State game today. Just the way the offense was just disjointed. They never could get into a rhythm. It seemed like the big plays were few and far between, and they weren't able to get the running game going to anyone's satisfaction.
What's interesting, though, guys, I don't know about you all. I never really thought Oklahoma was going to lose that game. I can't explain it.
I definitely thought they were.
I do think a part of it is like that defense is playing because guys, people are like, oh, the defense played horribly, and I put it up on Twitter. UCF averages almost 520 yards of offense a game. They didn't get to 400 on Oklahoma, and like a third of that 397 they got were on 2 plays. The big run from Harvey, and then obviously the long pass that Woody Washington had the busted coverage. Like that accounted for a third of their total yards the entire game. The defense did not play bad. They weren't great by any stretch of the imagination, but they were not bad.
They were the second or third best thing of the day, or the biggest storyline of the day. Yeah. The defense was outside of OU's inability to be able to run the football. I mean, when they needed a stop, they got off the field. Now, granted, the final possession that was shit, but you also had them convert a 3rd and 15 and a 4th and 10.
And Bowman drops a pick.
Yeah, sure.
I mean, they had their chances on that possession.
I think that there was a little bit of people out there, too, that just didn't want to believe that Central Florida's pretty damn good offensively. Like, number 4 in the country offensively good.
Yeah. And like Josh said, they got stops. Like, when the game, if prior Oklahoma teams, if they're down 23-17, at some point UCF goes down and puts them up 13, and all of a sudden
you're chasing.
You're really done. Yeah, you're really in a pickle. And like this group was able to come up with those stops, or even hold them to field goals on some of those drives were huge. So, and then you even take away. I mean, Jaron Canick gets the stupid penalty down on the goal line. Otherwise, you probably get another goal line stand. Like the defense is the only reason they won the game today.
Yeah.
Yeah,
No,
I mean, I didn't really side with Jaron Canick on the taunting thing. I mean, I watched.
Well, you just can't do that.
And it was like, Josh, I know you probably saw it, but it was almost like he did a mini taunt, and then he just decided, oh, I don't think he heard me. I'm really going to get down in his face and say something. And that's when the penalty came out. But it was just after watching Ethan Downs almost happen to you 2 weeks ago against Texas, like, I get it. It's an emotional game, and I guarantee you those Central Florida players, they were talking some serious shit. You could tell. Like, I don't know, Eddie, how much you caught down on the field.
Couldn't really
tell.
But
like from TV, you could see. I mean, just the kiss and the kiss to the side. Like,
I mean, it's kind of badass.
That was badass.
It's badass.
I thought it was pretty cool, but it should have been a penalty. Sure. And I mean, we were talking about this before. I didn't want to get too much into it, George, but like Josh, you remember it was 2009 when OU was playing Texas Tech. And Ryan Broyles started high-stepping, before he got in the end zone. And the rule was not that old then. I think it was the first time I'd ever seen it take off a touchdown off the board. And I remember that's the maddest I've ever seen Bob Stoops on the sideline. Like, he wanted to kill Ryan Broyles. And, he was still a young guy then, and it was like he had the suspension when he was a redshirt freshman. But it's just like, that's like what the guy did today, though, had some real flair to it, though. I mean, and I guess he could have said, well, there's a cameraman right there, so I was trying to, blow a kiss to my mom at home or something. But, like, there's just so many dumb things that tend to happen. I don't think this is an undisciplined team, though.
OU? I don't either.
Yeah,
and
no.
To go with what you're talking about, Carey, I have been to a lot of games and a lot of camps in the state of Florida.
Oh, my God.
Those kids talk shit from, like, birth.
Remember when we went to the Lath Harlow?
They're good at it.
We went to the Lath Harlow game, and it was just like, this is a different world down here in Florida, man. Like, they are shit talkers to the max.
Yeah,
like,
100%.
It's incredible. It's like you got a bunch of kids that are really fast, and they, like, most of the time, no one can catch them. So when they do catch you, they either hit you, to where your shoes come off your feet, or they just talk shit the entire time.
They, like I said, they could teach classes, and I know, like, UCF, obviously, Central Florida. You get into South Florida, which obviously UCF has a bunch of those guys on the roster. Those guys are a different breed, even amongst Florida guys. South Florida guys will rip your guts out and don't care about it. Like, they are vicious.
It was a little Friday Night Tykes-ish on the field today at times.
But yeah, I mean, still though, like, you're right, Carey. there are just a few different moments, and I know George kind of touched on this earlier, and clearly a conversation he and Eddie had. That game could so easily have been 21-0. Not, I wouldn't say like Arkansas State, but like, okay, this game's almost over in the first quarter kind of stuff. If Oklahoma just gets out of their own way a couple of times.
Yeah, and it's, we can talk about the field goal thing now because obviously it's a disaster. And Brent Venables stood up for Zach Schmidt, and I know in the conference room we were talking about it before, and I think Eddie's, you can say what your viewpoint is on it. Like, how could it get any worse?
Yeah, it's fucking terrible. I mean, you just can't miss 38-yarders. And I don't care. Like, there was no excuses today. There was no wind. He wasn't kicking in a monsoon. Mm-hmm. It was just, it's terrible. And it's going to cost them a game if they continue to play in some of these close bowl games. Like, it's insane to me that they've got the punt blocked last week. They had the missed field goal by Schmidt. They had the gaffes on the return stuff. They gave up the fake punt. They missed 2 field goals today. Finding ways to win those games, it's almost kind of unbelievable that they were able to do that.
Well, and I think when it comes to Schmidt, like you can tell, here's my take on it. I think Brent feels like if he's mentally there, that he can do some things that maybe the other kickers can't do. And I think it's probably to do with his range and things like that. But he's obviously in a fragile state mentally, and Brent doesn't want to lose him. That's what I think is going on. Because he was literally arguing with the referees that his kick was not wide, that went over the goalpost. Like, you rarely see that. You never see a kicker try and argue his way into a made field goal.
And it wasn't even, it was close, but it wasn't that close.
What do you guys know about Gavin Marshall? Like, why not just give him a shot? Like, have you guys seen him kick before? Like, is he...
in those few viewing days we had out.
Yeah, and he's come in and kicked a couple extra points and stuff. But outside of that, like, what else? Does Schmidt have to cost him a game before Nunez or whoever decides that that's the way to go?
I don't know. I just... It's either, in my opinion, you start letting Marshall kick him or you start going for it on 4th down.
Well, it looks like they've got
Can't win the conference doing that.
They've got the punting kind of figured out a little bit.
Yeah, Luke Elzinga was great today. We talked about it on the instant
fantastic.
Reaction.
He 51.6 yards average today on 5 punts, which is like, that's NFL good.
Yeah.
He was spectacular today. Which, by the way, UCF's punting though, ferocious. They're terrible.
Yeah, it was really bad. It was.
I didn't realize they're second to last in the
bad,
country.
Yeah. Oh my god!
And net punting, yeah.
Well, it's like I have people in my mentions like, how does UCF have a better kicker than OU? And I'm like, when does it matter if you're a blue blood to have a great kicker?
They needed him to get in the portal though. His last name's Boomer.
Yeah.
That'd be a hell of
Colton
a kicker.
Boomer, is that his name?
I think so.
That's a great name. That's going to get you laid
That's a great
on any
kicker
college
name.
campus.
Surely he has like an NIL T-shirt out there somewhere.
Colton Boomer. Maybe you should have one with like an OU NIL company.
With punters, I've always felt like I would go to the shittiest offense I could find because I'm going to get to punt all the time.
Baylor used to win the Ray Guy Award every year.
But like kickers, Iowa is finding all kinds of great specialists and do it like you. There's no reason for it to be this bad. It shouldn't be this bad. I know I've referenced it before. Cam Little at Arkansas is kicking the bejesus out of the ball, and could have been an Oklahoma guy. And that's not on Brent and these guys. I don't want anybody to misunderstand. That was before he got here, but that previous staff gave him no attention. Didn't really look at him, and now I think he hit 250-plus yarders against Alabama for Arkansas a couple weeks ago. He's an outstanding kicker, and he's from Southmore.
We're not there yet, but we're very close to Jimmy Stevens territory.
I think
we're later.
Get somebody else in there. Get somebody else a chance.
Gavin Marshall was like a 5-star kicker.
Yeah.
It's not that I don't think it's that they don't have somebody on the staff that can kick. Like, give someone else just another shot. It can't be any worse.
Zach's a good kid. Went to McGinnis. I cheer for him. Love the guy. But, true. Still Catholic. Sorry, Bishop Kelly interjected. But give somebody else opportunity.
Yeah.
I think we could, but Brent said he's not going to.
I would be shocked if they don't. Like, this is the first, like, it's a stupid thing to say for Brent. To say that, but I do understand the other side of it, right?
Well, that's why
you can't just come out and throw him under the bus.
But that's why I followed up and said, "Is he the guy moving forward?" Because of course he's going to be like, "Yeah, we have all the confidence in the world in him." But like, is it open competition now? Like, is it whatever? And he was like, "Nope, it's Schmidt."
They should have an open competition. That'd be fun.
I don't know.
I don't think kicking competitions are that fun myself.
I just know that there's going to come a game.
Kicker that kicks it 50 yards through the uprights is the best competition.
There's going to come a game that they are going to have to kick a big field goal at the end of a game, and I just have no faith whatsoever.
And he missed it.
I know, but I'm talking like it's going to be 2 seconds left to win it, and he's going to have to walk up there and hit a 40-yarder, and it's going to go wide right.
Well, I mean, but also think about this.
You're going to know it when he lines up. It's not going to be a surprise. It damn sure shouldn't be.
But think about this. Texas's kicker was awful before the Red River Rivalry, and he basically helped almost win that game for him.
Well, I'm convinced that Texas kickers don't miss.
There is some track record with him of being a good kicker. We've seen Auburn be a good kicker. He's not doing that. He's like, there's no track record of Zach Schmidt that you say, okay, he just something's off. He'll, his swing's wrong or something like that. Like, he's been okay.
I thought he was good last year, and they put him in some terrible positions like that West Virginia kick. And that's obviously, I don't. Maybe Brent's beating him up because he kind of ripped away his confidence a little bit by putting him in some of those tough situations, trying to build him back up, but it's not working. So,
I mean, I would say he was okay last year. He was 12 of 18, 3 of 5 from between 30 to 39, 7 of 9 between 40 to 49, and 0 for 2 from 50. Yeah. I mean, that's not anything to write home about.
You'd have to go back and look, but I think he was 3 for 7 in the final 3. Missed a kick at West Virginia. Missed a kick at missed 2 kicks in Lubbock, right? Missed the one in overtime to lose the game, and then missed one down at the Cheez-It Bowl. Maybe 2 for 5 is what he finished the end of the season at.
You were right, 3 for 7 in the last 4 games.
Like that, dude. You gotta make kicks.
Yeah,
especially I'm ready for a change if it means we have to talk about kicking this much on pods.
It's not good.
So true. Now, and nobody deserves to listen to us because we don't know shit about shit when it comes to kicking. But I know it's not good enough.
Well, and that's what I was going to ask George. I mean, is it all on Zach Schmidt? How's the snap? How's the hold? Stuff like that.
I think the hold may not be great. Like, I think that there was. I think I brought that up. Was it the first game that they botched a couple snaps on the extra point? I don't think the hold has been particularly great on everything so far. But I mean, I don't know though. I'm not some specialist out there, but I do think that the hold has not been perfect.
All right, that felt like a private school question. Like he asked George because George went to Bishop Kelly. Like he knows more about kickers than we do. Like that. That's what that felt like, Eddie.
Josh Hogue would disagree. A great kicker. Josh Sheen would disagree. Putnam City North sent some kickers to Division I. Kansas and Old Miss.
Hogue.
Kansas and Old Miss.
Who was the guy that went to Nebraska?
You said Josh Hogue, didn't you?
Yes, he did.
Oh. Well, he's a grade below me.
I don't want to be the guy giving Panthers credit here, Eddie. I'm not okay with that.
It was a guy that went to Nebraska that played in the league forever. It was from like Colgate, Oklahoma.
Oh,
Jeremy Brown?
Josh,
Josh Brown.
think he had a couple domestic situations.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he did, didn't he? Yeah. That kind of ended it.
He was a good kicker, though.
Until that, yeah.
Bring him in. Does he have any eligibility left?
Well, and OU's got one that's this year that's really highly rated and all. The Liam Evans kid that's committed from Moore.
Sure.
So maybe they have righted their wrongs, but it is. I couldn't agree more with George. That's going to bite them at some point this year. You can't be this bad in the kicking game.
Hey, I want you guys to remember that Eskridge Lexus is the proud travel sponsor of Sooner Scoop. The all-new Lexus TX SUV is almost here, and that's a big deal. It's Lexus's biggest SUV. the biggest they've ever built. It's arriving in late October, which is now. The TX, the perfect family SUV for lugging all your stuff to the next sporting event, tailgate, or road trip. You three-row family freaks, I don't understand you, but you love these things. Mention that you are a Sooner Scoop subscriber, and Eskridge Lexus will offer you a special discount on any new or pre-owned vehicle. And as always, they never have those stinking bogus extra charges like dock fees or force you to buy added accessories that you don't really want. So call today or visit EskridgeLexus.com. Go to EskridgeLexus.com and get yourself in line for the new Lexus TX SUV. All right, dear God, let's move on a little bit. So I think what this game, means is what's going to be interesting, because I thought it was really interesting. Brent in the post game, he was paraphrasing in a weird way, but basically Brent was like, you don't want to be the best team that you're going to be right now. Like, he was almost like, I kind of like having, as a coach, I kind of like winning and struggling because it gives me something to yell at them about on a Monday.
That was a great quote.
Yeah. But no, I mean, look, you want better than this. And we all knew, like, this is an Oklahoma team that they're not worthy of being considered the number 1 or number 2 team in the country right now. They just haven't done enough. They haven't proven enough. But today kind of shows us, I think, more than anything, guys, this team really could lose any game on its schedule.
Well, yeah. I mean, I don't think any of us ever denied that. I mean, I think that there was this thought, and I still think that they should win, but that doesn't mean they're going to. I mean, we've all been around long enough to know that you're going to lose a football game here and there. I mean, it's going to happen, but I still think that this is a group that can win out. It's just going to be tough. I think people just assumed it wouldn't be because they look at the back half. But, I mean, Oklahoma State is going to be really difficult.
Yeah, they're getting better fast.
Kansas, I still think, is going to be tough next week in Lawrence. You got to go to BYU. At TCU, I have no idea what to make of TCU. West Virginia, they should beat West Virginia, but they're going to get everyone's best shot. I mean, it's hard, man. It's hard to win in college football, and this is exactly why I said, and people got mad at me on the board for saying I didn't think OU was a national title contender. They're just not there yet. And maybe they get there and they get better every week, but today was just a shit performance, and you know what? Shit, that happens in college football.
I don't want people to get to the point where, and they're going to get there regardless of what I say or not, but you still have to realize this team was 6-7 a year ago, and what's happened has been remarkable. I mean, we talked about all the transfers. We've already talked about the transfers and how well that they've been integrated in together. And I mean, today Jacob Lacey's back out there making plays. I mean, Trace Ford was really good for a big. I mean, he at least didn't get a personal foul this time, but he was offsides after. What did he have? A knockdown and then a sack, on first and second down, and then he had a penalty for being offsides on third down. But he affected the game. So, like, everything's a win so far for you as an Oklahoma fan. And even I was thinking about this as the game was going along. Like, it's going to be really hard, because we're going to be dealing with a lot of fans who are upset because they shouldn't have lost this game. But I don't think you still should not be surprised at anything that happens the rest of the season.
Well, guys, it's we've talked about this before. OU doesn't have those guys, doesn't have that premier experienced frontline talent that's going to bail you out of a game. They don't have the Adrian Petersons, the Tommy Harrises, the Sam Bradfords. They don't have that guy that you can say, well, everything else is going wrong, but that guy's going to fix it. If the team is off, the team's off. Like, there just aren't enough of those guys. Now, I think they're coming along. I think you've got a lot of good young talent there. In a couple of years, that story could be different because you do have enough of those kind of high caliber, future NFL kind of guys. But there aren't a lot of juniors and seniors that are there's a lot of juniors and seniors that are going to be going pro in something other than sports. So, you have to acknowledge that. And so it lessens that ability for the team to come out flat and then that one guy to fix it. Guys, we're all watching USC right now. USC is in all sorts of trouble if they don't have Caleb Williams. Oklahoma doesn't have that, and they're a better overall team than USC, but they don't have that guy that's going to fix them on an off night. And so that's where you kind of have to manufacture it. And I did think the fourth quarter showed you more maturity than we've seen from OU teams in years past. Guys, I feel almost 100% confident 2 years ago Oklahoma loses that game. Like, I don't have a lot of doubt. And last year, OU loses that game.
1,000%. And not only, George, we talked about this on the instant reaction. Not only do they lose, but Central Florida's up by 2 scores in the fourth quarter. Like, they go down and score, make it a 13-point game, and then you're always chasing. And they wouldn't be able to get off the field.
It was just it's been a strange day. It was a strange day, in Memorial Stadium. Texas had a strange day playing at Houston, which I still think that's good for Oklahoma for Texas to win. Like, having bad losses is the only thing.
Does it matter though?
It could. That's all.
For what?
I think it does
for rankings. When they go into that committee room and their best win is against Texas, who has lost to teams like Houston. That destroys OU's strength.
OU will not go if OU went undefeated. They're not getting left out of the college football playoff.
I agree, and I also my thought process.
They will if Ohio State's undefeated, or if Michigan's undefeated, if Oregon's undefeated, Georgia's there, and Florida State's losing at halftime right now. But I mean, right now there's a
we always do this though, and at the end of the season, yeah, I know. I
don't think you want to play Texas again. I think and maybe that's just me saying take
now the interesting thing with Texas is what is the Quinn Ewers injury situation.
Yeah.
And did you guys see who it was that took him out?
I didn't see it.
David Agwebu.
That's crazy.
David Agwebu rocked him. I mean that was 49-0 anger. David Agwebu was taking out that hit. He lit him up.
Yeah, but I mean, I don't know what's going to happen with Washington. I mean, are they going to be undefeated? It's like, you've got to rack up as many wins as you can, and when Texas racks up a win, it's a win for you too.
I mean, yeah.
If OU, if Texas loses to K-State, okay. Like, I think people would be like, that stuff like that can happen. Texas goes 10-2, whatever. But you go lose on the road to Houston, who is not good. That's a problem.
By the way, that
reflects poorly on you. And you get into a conversation where the end of the year, even if Oklahoma is 13-0, there's a very real world where they wouldn't have a single, like, say Texas kind of came apart and was like 8-4. There's a world where Oklahoma doesn't have a ranked win. That pushes into an area where an 11-1 Alabama, like, people are going to make an argument. Like, I don't know that it wins, but it's a valid argument where Alabama's going to have some actual wins that matter.
By the way, Cincinnati was a favorite. Baylor won that game by 3.
Cincinnati's terrible.
They're probably the worst team in the conference.
And that's why Bedlam, circle it, man, because I think OSU's going to walk in there 6-2. What is that? 4 straight wins, feeling good about themselves.
I'll pick
Bedlam.
OSU right now.
I won't go that far. Yeah. I still think Oklahoma's the much better team.
I got OU by double digits in that game. I think there's so much overhype happening right now.
Here's the thing with OSU.
Well, and I do agree. Like,
and West Virginia is not a good football team.
No, and I think OU's a bad matchup for OSU because the one thing OSU's got going for them is they're running the football well. That is what OU is really damn good at today, and we saw it today. We've seen at them all. If OSU can't run the ball, and I still don't think OSU's
you guys
defense
talk me out of it.
OSU's defense is not anything to write home about either.
By the way, the other thing was
they got lit up for 34 today.
Yeah,
and I don't know exactly how it happened, but Kansas State put Will Howard back at quarterback tonight. I don't know if the new guy got hurt or was ineffective or what, and they just started lighting up TCU.
I think TCU's terrible.
I just don't know.
Guys,
every
how
week
do you
to week.
explain last year?
Max Duggan.
The perfect happening of a special football team.
But think about last year, though, how many games they just escaped. Like, remember the Baylor game where they just, like, tried
I'll explain it. I'll explain
Tech's
it.
playing well in Provo right now, too.
I'll explain it, Josh, and I think you'll agree with me. Yeah, they're getting killed. There was enough Gary Patterson defensive residue left in that program that when Sonny Dykes came in and brought that offense with Max Duggan, with the wide receiver, who was the Robert
Quentin Johnson.
The running back, the big guy.
Oh,
that got hurt and didn't play in the college football playoff.
Damn, what was his
For the
name? Good
championship.
player. Really good player. I hate to
Deidre
forget his
something?
name.
Like Diedrich or Deidre or
What the hell was his name? Kendra Miller.
Kendra Miller. Yeah. He
Oh,
was
it's
really
Kendra Miller.
good. No, but I mean, they just had Duggan just had. I mean, he had a fantastic.
It was a storybook year for them.
Yeah, but that defense was damn good still.
But God, guys, we knew Max Duggan. We had seen him. Like, it's still
Max
like,
Duggan got
there's
beat
some
out for the
pixie
job.
dust.
Yeah, I mean,
Yes, by the guy now who can't move the ball.
yeah.
Although I think he's out. I don't think he's playing.
Are they playing the Hoover
That's a
kid
little
today?
unfair to him
Yes,
right
yeah.
now.
They're playing the Hoover kid. Okay.
I think.
Wow. Yeah. Well, or no, Will Howard. Anyway. Yeah, the Big 12 is, who knows what the hell's happening.
I think the Big 12 is the worst conference right now.
Oh, it's absolutely the worst.
Power 5.
The Power 5?
I don't even think it's a question.
Is the
No, because I mean,
ACC good?
Depends on Miami.
I think it is.
Miami's beating Clemson.
North
right now.
North Carolina's struggling
They're
right
getting
now.
beat by Virginia.
Yeah.
Who is horrible. Horrible.
Is it just
football
fair
team.
enough to say there are some just very mediocre football teams right now in college football?
The only team
I think
that's playing great is Michigan.
I think
And
it
who have
extends
they
to Ohio
played?
State.
They
Like, I
haven't
think
played
that's-
anybody. They haven't played
Right,
anybody.
that's the question.
Oh, I
But they're
think
still
good.
choking everybody to death.
Yeah,
Sure.
I think they're good.
And you got to give them credit for doing that.
And
Because we're
regardless,
they're
watching
also
everybody
cheating.
else, have moments.
They are cheating.
But they're also cheating. They're also stealing signs, which has become like one of the weirdest stories ever. Like, if you get your sign stolen, I kind of think that that's on you.
well, it's the in-game
I have
scouting
to-
though. You can't. That's the part that's I think pretty bad. That where you're like they're going to like other teams'
Yeah.
games.
I still think that
I think.
that's
But don't
a little
high school
bit-
teams do that?
Yeah.
So like I don't
Yeah.
really know.
It's like you see high school teams going all the time and scouting people.
I don't know.
I have to give credit to the best thing I saw all day. Guy, I think it's JWool13 or something on Twitter, and I was talking about the Gavin Sawchuk run. To pivot back to a little bit of OU football here, where he's clearly looking at the sideline, trying to get a read of if he should go in. Which really smart play from a young back who obviously would love to have the touchdown. But I said something like, I'd love to see a shot of the sideline. And the guy, doesn't miss a beat. Like 10 seconds after I posted it, he's like, Michigan will tell us what they did.
That's pretty good.
And I was like, that's outstanding. Like, it was just a perfect response in that moment.
yeah, is Michigan, are they head and shoulders above everybody else because of a certain sign stealing situation?
And I still think Georgia is right up there. Like they'll figure it
And
out.
if they're
Carson
not,
Beck's
they
playing
will
well.
be. Yeah, they'll figure it out. So I don't know. I mean, I think the main thing is that we learned today is at least now, OU comes off the Texas win. It's a big celebration. Everybody's high in the sky. They're coming back down to earth now, and they realize, yeah, we're not as good as we thought. We're not as good as everybody wanted to tell us that we are.
You get this one game. Like, this is your free pass. Mm-hmm. You can't come back out here and do this shit in Lawrence. And it's going to be interesting because I think that there was some stuff that Central Florida did that confused OU today. And, Kansas is going to do that times 10.
But again, if
I just don't want to get kicked out of the press box again.
if we'll let you do the pod on the road, I guess. So
Can I get kicked out?
I think it's very clear that they will. If
No, they wouldn't
certain
have
things
kicked me
happen.
out.
But no, look, today, it's a perfect example. Like, the defense showed up in a manner that was going to allow them to blow out UCF, and the offense kept it from happening.
What'd you guys think about Dylan Gabriel's day?
I thought he was good. Not great.
The numbers are good.
Like he missed some things.
You can't really. The interception wasn't a great throw, but it's hard to blame it on him.
It was a pretty good defensive play for him to catch that on the tip.
I thought again he was really good down the stretch. The plays he made on the final touchdown drive, where I think it was 2nd and long, and he steps up and he finds Stoops, makes the play, and then I think he found Stoops again, and then the 3rd and 9 throw to have the awareness. It was offsides on UCF to have the awareness and step up and make the throw to Anderson for the big gain. That was good. Look, he was okay. I thought that UCF got after him. That's the most pressure we've seen on him maybe
3
this year.
sacks.
So
this is just from a video standpoint. It seemed like on the plays that they were able to run the ball in the fourth quarter, Austin Stogner was whooping people's asses. I thought
he also saved the game with the onside kick recovery. I don't know.
Yeah,
have we talked about that?
about.
I mean,
No,
they damn near didn't recover that.
It hit at least 3
That was
or
a
4.
great onside, by the way.
Yes.
Incredible kick.
It hit like 3 or 4 different people before it finally got secured.
It was Farouk. Farouk looked like he had it, kind of wrapped it, and he couldn't trap it under his hand, and then it just spun free from him.
No, but Stogner was mentioned quite a bit. I was actually listening to Teddy and Toby on the call and then watching the broadcast, and it was synced together pretty well. But, yeah, they were pointing out Stogner several times today.
Can you imagine being somebody that's sticking around for this Fox halftime show and wanting to hear what Emmanuel Acho has to say about the world of college football? Like, imagine being that type of person.
Well, it's not like ESPN's college football coverage is that strong these days either.
That's true.
Because you get saying
At least McAfee's entertaining.
Can we talk about the
Tom Luganbill said that you're a bitch, Josh.
Eddie, I almost asked if I could take the camera for this week just so Tom
I think
and
that
could
would have been
talk.
worth it. It would have been worth the sights and sounds to get you and Tom on the same sideline.
Can we talk about how many damn commercial breaks there are? It's ridiculous.
awful.
It's like every
During a game?
Eddie, do you not like? It's ridiculous, and they're like,
Is it more than it's been?
I don't. I mean, it
Oh, yeah.
feels like
it's been
it
bad
feels
all
that
year.
way.
Yeah.
it's just, and maybe it's because I'm coming from covering the NFL where they're just in and out
Yeah.
in 3 hours. But like, my God, it's terrible.
No, it's an awful, awful thing, and it's
It just sucks the life out of the stadium.
There
too.
wasn't a review today, though.
no, but
That
the
might be a
officiating,
first in a college football game.
the officiating was not great today. I didn't think.
Yeah, they didn't even stop the game to review whether the one-handed catch by the UCF receiver was in or out of bounds.
Well, he was clearly out.
I mean, half of
Yeah,
it was
I
out.
love
Yeah.
that they didn't waste time on that. I thought it was clear. I'm trying to think of a call that I really had a beef with. I'm sure there's one I'm just missing.
I think I'm just
I think
thinking
there was
that
one catch that an OU player had that was like near the turf.
Yeah.
And he caught it underneath his body, and
I'm just thinking of the
hurried and
taunting.
ran.
The taunting one was the only one that I was like, I think they missed that by rule. Like, and
They
then
didn't though.
But well,
They definitely did.
they literally
Oh, he
admitted to.
does.
Oh! I thought you meant they didn't miss.
I'm not talking about the
I
Kanik.
thought you were saying Kanik never.
No.
taunted.
The
Okay.
piece.
Oh yeah.
That was
the
a
blowing kisses to the sideline. They missed for sure.
Yeah.
But
Which
I
is
don't know if that's
hilarious
reviewable.
because I was at a high school homeschool game 2 weeks ago, and Danny Okoye got flagged for the same thing.
Yeah, he did.
So that's just hilarious.
I mean, OU did have 13 tackles for loss today by 13 different guys. That's crazy.
How many yards did UCF run for?
200
Total?
149.
I think that might be their low this season.
Guys, if you said that, think about this. If you came into the game and said UCF ran for 149 and OU is going to run for 189, I would think OU blew UCF's doors off.
Yes.
It's just crazy how that game played out. Just some of the weird little things that happened.
That I've seen John Rice Plumlee play many times. I've never sat and watched an entire game of his before. He's a very average quarterback from a throwing.
He can't
standpoint.
throw. Yeah, he's not a great passer.
I think he's a better baseball player than he is quarterback.
I could see that. Yeah.
Also, they only ran for 143 against Kansas State earlier this year in a loss. So,
Did Kansas State get up big in that, and then they came back? Or I'm confusing that with the Baylor game.
K-State won
it was
44-31.
It was a tight game, and Kansas State scored
Kinda ran away
two
with it.
touchdowns
Yeah.
like within a 2-minute.
I mean, I think R.J. Harvey's a pretty good back. I mean, he impressed me at times.
I agree. His patience, OU a lot of times could use a back that has that kind of patience just to let it develop. Because there were several times OU had him dead to rights, and he'd have somebody pull in front of him, and all of a sudden he'd have a gap.
I hate to break this to you, Josh, but every team OU has played this year has had a running back that they would like to have.
You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
I could just go down the list. I mean, obviously, Jonathan Brooks, the R.J. Harvey. I mean, they're going to play. I got an argument on the radio last week about Ollie Gordon, And that was before tonight. I mean, now the OSU fans are coming out of the woodwork saying, you thought Brooks was better than Gordon. They're like, yeah, come at me when he had a 200-yard night. Like, of course he's making a run at that claim. He's a stud.
Mm-hmm.
Don't blame me because your
really
coach
good.
didn't know how to use him early in the year.
I'd still rather have Brooks, but Ollie Gordon's really, really good.
I mean, I like the running back for USC, the Marshawn Lloyd guy.
God, he's a monster.
Yeah.
Like, he's so – like, you see those close-ups, you're like, good Lord, he's huge.
He looks like he's like Manny Ramirezing it. Like he's wearing a really baggy shirt so everybody doesn't know all the steroids he's taking.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
A little steroid investigation in Los Angeles?
Yeah, let's do it.
You know, I always remember
First
that people
reported.
said that Lincoln Riley always handed out needles to players on the first day of practice. And I always wondered why.
Now you know the rest of the story. All right. So Josh, any early? I mean, anybody that's visiting is on campus. Can't talk to him, anything like that. But did you get a feeling? I don't know, social media or anything that you saw out there of anything interesting?
No, not so far. I mean, obviously, with a weekend like this, there's not going to be, the overwhelming, like, oh my God, I had an amazing time, because there's kind of the lethargy of not exactly a perfect weekend. But, just looking around, like, I still think it's going to be a weekend that probably will produce some good results for Oklahoma. I still think Eddie Pierre-Louis is a guy we've got to watch. We'll keep our eye on several things, but it wouldn't shock me if there's some news tomorrow. But I haven't heard anything at this point, though I will fully admit I kind of hate being that guy on Saturdays, like when the guys are still on their visit, that pisses coaches off. I really try not to do it unless I think something's just about to happen. Kind of
popping,
deal.
Yeah. One thing I know we did talk about is it did seem a little bit today like Gavin Freeman's still pressing a little bit. And maybe trying to dance around a little too much.
I don't think he just needs to call a fair catch. Like when the guys are coming at you and they're that close, like he's got to know when to call a fair catch. Because I thought he had a couple like close ones where he almost broke it, or like he had a hole and it was a good move or whatever.
But he also had one where a guy clobbered him.
It's like, dude, just call a fair catch, man. You're trying to do too much, Yeah, I thought he was good in the passing game, other than the one play where he didn't get upfield on the third down, and he would have easily picked up the first down.
He was close on several things, but I mean, look, Nick Anderson in his day today. I mean, he finally had his average for touchdown per catch stretched out a little bit finally, but that's going to happen when you're more involved in the game. He had 5 catches today. I don't have a target. Oh, he had 9 targets, 5 catches. Drake Stoops, 9 targets, 7 catches. So, when it's going his direction, he's usually catching it. 8, I mean, this has happened before, like Jalil Farouk, 8 targets, only 3 catches. And, everything falls down from there. It's like 3 is the next.
But yeah, I thought Jaden Gibson had maybe the biggest catch of the day.
Yes.
On the third down.
I think that was the one that was on the ground that
yeah.
I thought was going to get reviewed.
Yeah, that was a huge
12
catch.
And he comes up with the grab.
He needs more. I want to see him get more targets. I think he's somebody that could also help. He was creating a little bit of separation today. I just want to see him. He just seems like somebody that could be a breakout player for them.
Anderson,
guys,
Gibson, Petaway.
Yes, Petaway. God, he had one play today, and it was a
one
good
more
play.
It's almost electric. Yeah.
I don't know if that's like an answer to anything. It definitely doesn't help him run the ball, but I want to see more Petaway. What were you saying, Josh?
Well, I did want to say, I don't know if you guys are watching. Virginia was about to go up by 2 scores, fumbles at the back of the end zone. North Carolina just took over. We got 80 yards to go with about 4.5 minutes left.
But they're up.
Anyway, no, Virginia's still winning. North Carolina's got to go try and take the lead.
I don't think anybody knows how to get CW Network on a computer. I've been trying for the last
I was just about to ask
minutes.
what channel it is.
Literally, you go to the CW
that.
Network and you can't get it.
Well, guys, what I did want to say, like what you guys are talking about, George talked earlier about all that press man that UCF was going to play, and that's no surprise. Like that's what they do. Like they're unusual in that way. They play very aggressively in the secondary. But the thing about that is there's really two ways to deal with that. And it's as far as like how your receivers, they can be big and physical like Nick Anderson, who's going to be like, yeah, okay, come press me, and I'm gonna push you around. Or you get an explosive guy that they can't keep up with because there's a reason they're playing press man. They're trying to keep you out of your route and kind of slow you down. So a Jaquez Petaway in that sort of situation, all he's got to do is get loose, and those guys can't run with him. So I don't know. I just felt like there were some missed opportunities to attack some of the things they did. And to be fair to the offense, they could never get in a rhythm. That long drive UCF has there, I think in the second quarter, that ate up like 7 minutes. Like you could tell that just sucked the life out of Oklahoma's offense for quite a while. Maybe it was the third quarter now that I'm saying that. But either way, just OU didn't look right, offensively. And I think some of it was they just didn't get enough opportunities. And some of that's on them, but also the defense was kind of bending through, some portions of the game.
Yeah, if there's one thing I could say about Jeff Lebby, he gets a lot of unfair criticism, but I do think criticism about designing drives or designing the flow of the offense is going to go. It's just like I was talking to the guys earlier, Josh. He had it ended up being a scoring drive because the running game took over, but he had a scoring drive where they threw incompletions on 4 straight first down and 10s. And so they were 2nd and 10 running the ball. Then they'd get a good pickup, and they'd run it again on 3rd. Then they'd get the first. Then they'd go back to the pass. Like, to me, he falls in love a little bit too much with the run setting up deep shots, the play action deep shot.
I think that's fair. I think, and some of that is the way it's designed. Like, I get that's kind of like they're trying to lull you to sleep, boom, hit you over the top. Like there is some of that in there, but
Kevin Wilson always used to tell me this. He always used to tell me this. He said when he was younger, another coach told him, "You know what? You can go around looking for silver dollars on the ground, or you can go around looking for dimes or nickels." He said, "You're going to end up with more money looking for nickels than you are looking for silver dollars."
Thank you, Kevin Wilson.
Kevin Wilson.
It is. I loved it. I still remember it to this day. Obviously,
it's the old baseball. You'll never go broke hitting doubles. That's okay. So I don't know. I struggled because I'm with you, Carey. Like I think Lebby takes anytime the play is not exactly what an OU fan thinks it should be. Oh, he sucks. He's terrible. Like there were people on Twitter today telling me, "Oh, we never liked Jeff Lebby." Did you see the Texas game? That was one of the best defenses we've watched OU play in the Big 12 in a decade, and OU just ran up and down the field on them. Like you can't have that both ways. Like we don't really like him even when it's good, and we really hate him when it's bad. Like that's you're never going to be satisfied living that life. But at the same time, my struggle with that a lot of times is personnel, the decisions they'll make with. This is what we want to do. Okay, great. You've got it scripted. This is what we're going to do on our first 3 plays or whatever. Then why is that what's on the field? Like, why do you have those guys in those situations? Because those are not the best suited to the situation. Like jet sweeps to Drake Stoops. I love Drake Stoops. He's got a lot of good uses. That's not one of them. That's not what he's best at. So I that stuff bothers me sometimes. But I will say again, with what Jeff Lebby came in and what I expected to see offensively, I think Oklahoma is really, really hurt by the fact that they don't have a running back who is truly dangerous as a receiver out of the backfield, because he loves to throw to the running back, and it's not there right now.
Can Sawchuk not be that guy? Like, did he find some type of rhythm? Is he still trying to find himself in the middle of a season, which I'm sure is very, very difficult to do?
Guys, I'm looking at he had 10 carries for 63, so average is 6.3, obviously. Has anybody, other than probably the one game when Tawee had that one big run, has anybody this year averaged that type of yards per carry?
I want to say Tawee was like 5'1" in one game.
They were like, there were some runs there in the fourth that were, a shoestring away from being bigger than they were.
Hold on, I almost got it. Tawee averaged 5.6 against SMU.
Okay.
That would be the highest. Because Marcus Major had a game where I think he averaged like 4 something, but that's got to be the highest. He ran for 117 yards that day.
And again, doing it behind a true freshman at left guard and a right guard that was a shaky unit all day. Did Troy ever get on the field?
No.
I didn't see him.
He did
I don't
not.
think so.
No.
Okay.
I think it's got to be, and we've talked about this ad nauseum, and I'm sure we are this entire week. It needs to be Gavin going forward. Like to me, that's he's their most talented guy that is 100% healthy right now. And
who?
Gavin.
Oh, Sawchuk. You're talking about running back. Gotcha.
Yes. Yeah. What did you think I was talking about?
Kickers.
Guard.
Oh, I guess we could talk about. There's like how many Gavins are on the team? I guess 3.
Sawchuk, Freeman, and
Marshall. Yeah, and we talked about all 3.
Big Gavin team.
Yeah. Anyways, I think Sawchuk should be the guy moving
100%. 100%. And I'm with you. If they want to throw out Caleb Hicks,
do it.
I'm in.
I still think the most explosive run. I think back to this moment a lot watching their run game. The most explosive run to me that we've seen from OU this year was against Tulsa in the 4th quarter, and it was Dalen Smothers on that one run out to the outside. That was the most explosive we've seen a running back on OU this year, in my opinion.
And I guess, are we just at the point where, like, Javonte Barnes, I heard today the words, or the phrase, they're going to just shut him down for the rest of the year. Like, I don't know what happened with the surgery. That's a very weird situation.
And he ran out. There's a moment in the game.
He ran onto the field.
And then Major came in and took him out. And it was in the 4th quarter.
Yes.
It was in the 4th quarter on that drive to
Nate
go score.
Fakin nudged TJ Ecker. He was like, Javonte Barnes is out there. And I was like, he was out there for that play? And he was like, I think.
No, he jogged.
But that was weird.
Yeah.
And if he's doing that, why is he not playing?
I don't know. And I still think,
like, what did these guys do to DeMarco during the week?
I don't know. We need to request DeMarco this week.
He's not.
I know we would never get him, but
if we are, well, never mind.
All right, let's. We got to wrap it up here, but before we get out of here, maybe this is the question that can kind of encapsulate what today was like. But I'll just go around the room. Josh, I'll start with you. Is there anybody on this team that has stock up after today?
Maybe it's a quota thing, but Peyton Bowen.
Yep.
I don't know why Peyton Bowen's not on the field more, but they got to sort that out because all that kid does is just impact the game in a huge way. That sack, I felt like that changed the whole flow of that game from the moment he made that play. And I know UCF was going hurry up. They were giving OU some of their own medicine. So, like, I understand that they couldn't cycle players the way they maybe wanted to. But, guys, I'm watching Keyshawn Lawrence miss tackles. Reggie Pearson's still struggling in coverage.
Yeah, he struggled today.
At some point, you got to figure out who your 2 best safeties are, and I think their last names both start with B.
Correct. I don't think you're legally allowed to call him Keyshawn anymore. I think we've established that, haven't we?
Oh, God. I can't. It's a habit. I can't break it. Sorry to Key Lawrence. I'm sure that's not the worst thing you just took out of what I said, but I do apologize, Key.
Guys, any stock ups for you today?
I thought Trace Ford played pretty well today.
Ford was really. I thought it was his best game.
I think he's worthy of stock up. Yeah.
I think Ethan Downs played really
well today.
Yeah.
I thought,
and he must have gotten dinged up because I swear early in the game I almost wanted to tweet out like, is Ethan Downs like almost like a nationally respected becoming that type of player? Like, is he becoming a guy like that other teams, when they do the big sports center and they're talking about the best at their position, like he's on the verge of becoming one of those dudes the way he's playing this year.
Only if he divorces his wife and moves to Ada and becomes a child of Dan Cody. Which I say jokingly.
By Dan Cody?
Yeah, he needs to become and commutes to Norman every day, but runs, doesn't drive.
He's certainly playing with a lot more nastiness. Like and he was rampant in the first half. They couldn't deal with him. And I'm with you, Carey. I don't think I've really stopped to think about why it wasn't the same in the second half, but it obviously wasn't.
Josh, crazy question. Jared Kanek have a pretty good game today? I felt like he was all over the field in the first half.
He did.
I had a lot of people really upset with I gave him a pretty good grade in the report card, and people were like, "Oh, you're nuts. He was terrible." And I'm
He's
like,
got some
I
haters
feel
for
like
some reason. I don't know what that is.
Well, I think I don't know if he has haters. I think people love them some Kip Lewis, and so they just immediately are like, get Kip Lewis on the field.
You do hear that a lot.
Which I'm not going to argue with.
I know.
It's a good problem to have.
The guy that I thought was really quiet, surprisingly, considering the matchup, was Deshaun McCullough.
Yeah.
I didn't see her. I don't remember
6
him being
tackles,
called all
tackle
day.
for loss, had a pass breakup, which was a really nice play.
We could probably spend another 30 minutes doing stock down today.
Yeah, fair enough.
But
Fair
I'll
enough.
say this, and it was just a flash. I don't know if it's stock up as much as maybe this is like your stock tip for next week. If we could if we could buy stock in players that we thought was going to spike, I would buy stock in R. Mason Thomas right now.
Oh, he was close.
That's a good call.
He looked really close today. Yeah,
he was really close today. The other one too that I think deserves a stock up because he scored 2 touchdowns is Nick Anderson.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
He's been electric for OU, and somehow he's just always open. He's just wide open.
It's crazy.
I think today
the guy I will say is. I just want to give one other one that I again, kind of the same deal. Like, I'm not sure of what I've seen yet. I want to go back, and I'm excited for Monday to kind of watch this guy. Savion Byrd in the fourth quarter,
yes.
That's not coincidental that he was out there and that run game started to come to life.
Yep.
It is amazing how much that right side is determining the fortunes.
I also think
Oklahoma.
Sawchuk deserves a stock up. Like, I think he's the guy going forward.
Fair.
Like, they don't win that game without him in the fourth quarter.
I think Marcus Major's pretty hurt, too.
Yeah.
You can tell that he's favoring that shoulder.
What's up with him? And I said this in the press box. He slips a lot. Like, he just, he'll hit a hole sometimes. He's like, oh, there he goes. And then he slips. And it's just like, what? Like, does he need some new cleats?
Yeah.
I mean, my God, he slips a lot, man.
I feel like your dad just took over your body and descended on the pod. I feel like that's something your dad gets upset about.
Probably.
There was a concern about the ryegrass today.
It is.
I actually had a conversation about this.
Every year that the ryegrass blossoms or blooms or whatever, people start slipping.
But he did it in Cincinnati.
No, but he's done it everywhere. He's done it in every game
type thing.
But no, I can't remember who the head grounds crew guy.
Jason Ferris?
Yes, I saw him tweeting about, the ryegrass is really coming in.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, shit, the ryegrass. Everybody's going to be slipping now. But no, and I'll give one more stock up because we spent so much time talking about kickers, probably set a pod record. Luke Elzinga stock up today.
He was great.
Yes.
Yep.
And that's all it deserves.
Don't see Josh Plaster again.
Because there just wasn't enough. I mean, and I'm not saying stock down for everybody else because I think, Dylan Gabriel was just...
I think a lot of guys, too, on defense played what you thought they were going to play. Like, Danny Stutzman doesn't deserve a stock up because he was Danny Stutzman, you know? Which I thought it was interesting. I don't know if you guys noticed. They rotated him in the fourth quarter a little bit with Kip Lewis, and I think it was just to give him a breather. The defense was getting gassed there in the third and fourth quarter.
Well,
I thought he was hurt for a second. I asked TJ Ecker, I was like, did Stutzman get hurt?
I think
because
it was
Kip
a gas
Lewis
thing.
ran out there first.
I mean, UCF was going so fast, the defensive line wasn't even getting down in their stance at times.
Yeah.
They were catching them off because they would look to the sideline and they were snapping the ball. There was one time I saw Jaden Gibson look to the sideline and missed that the ball was snapped, and he was like 2 yards behind whoever was next to him running, routes down the field. So
Lualu had a big play today.
Yeah,
I don't know if
he
he
did.
deserves a stock up, but he had a big play today, too.
Kendall Dolby is another guy that just keeps making good plays.
We didn't even mention him. He won him the game there at the end.
Mm-hmm.
He made a couple of big plays down the stretch. So, all right. Well, it's going to be Kansas next week. We will be on the road. Eskridge Lexus will be getting us there, our official travel partner. So looking forward to that. All the coverage down there in Lawrence, and nice place to go. It'll be interesting. This is the first time OU have been to Lawrence since their resurgence under Lance Leipold. I think the last time it was it the Caleb Williams game where they announced that the gates were open and anyone could come down to the game at halftime?
Yep.
And students flooded the stadium, and OU held off to win. But it was a
Caleb
much
Williams
bigger
stole
crowd.
a ball
That-
from Kennedy Brooks.
He was the coach that year.
Leopold, yeah, that was his first
But
year,
I'm
right?
just saying, since
Yeah,
he's
that-
turned
that-
it,
that
he hadn't
was-
really turned it around by then.
Sure. No, 100%. Very different animal now. You're right.
That's when we learned, like, okay, Kansas is not going to be a pushover much longer.
Yeah.
Jason Bean,
And he was the quarterback that
round
day.
2.
Yeah.
Jason Bean, round 2.
Eddie and Bean, the rivalry renewed.
Yeah, he couldn't even start it. He couldn't start for the Fijis. I stand by that.
All right. I think that's going to do it for us. Appreciate everybody listening.
Oh, here's some late breaking news. Mm-hmm. Lincoln Riley's a bitch. Go Utes.
All right. On that, we'll end it. Thank you for listening. We'll be back again next week after the KU game on the Eskridge Lexus postgame podcast from Soonerscoop.com.